Hello everyone, so this video is going to be all about all of the restart checkpoints or restart encounters that are beneficial to you in a grounded speedrun. I say grounded speedrun, but really any speedrun. Because in the original Last of Us, there were some restart encounters that were specific to the first 4 difficulties, and then some restart encounters on grounded just wouldn't work. Well, in the remake, every difficulty is the same with regards to where the game places you, or like just certain benefits you get from any restart encounter or restart checkpoint in the remake. So you can apply this to any speedrun, but we're going to be talking about the grounded speedrun. Okay. Now, restart encounters and checkpoints give you different benefits. It'll place you a little bit further. It'll place your companion a little bit further. It will do different things. One thing, and we use a restart checkpoint quite a bit in this run, is in this game, Joel has like a tired sprint. He starts off sprinting very fast, but after about like 7 or 8 seconds, he'll slow down a lot. And it's pretty slow compared to his fast sprinting speed. And we will do restart checkpoints at certain moments to regain that sprint speed. I would say that's where we use restart checkpoints the most. Now, as for the timing of these restart checkpoints, sometimes it's just crossing an invisible line where the game's like, that's a checkpoint. And other times it'll be like when an area begins, and when that happens, it'll show restart checkpoint and restart encounter. That's how you know that you're in an encounter. So when it goes from one to both, or from both down to just checkpoint, that's usually when you know a checkpoint has been hit. So we use that. That's why sometimes you see me go like this when I'm doing a speedrun. I'm checking for when that checkpoint is to give me the benefit of that area. Yeah, let's get started here with the first one. I'll try and do this as fast as I can because, there's a lot of them in this game. There's a lot more. There's a lot more in the remake compared to the original. The biggest reason is when we're speedrunning, right now, the timer wouldn't be counting. This run uses an in-game timer. And the timer is not going when the game is paused, during a loading screen, and during cutscenes. But, where was I going with this? Yes, every time you restart checkpoint, that adds about 1 second to the speedrun timer. Like you'll restart checkpoint, and then it counts for about 1 second before it goes back to Joel. Or Ellie if you're playing in winter. But yeah, keep that in mind. I mean, we pretty much have all the spots where you can benefit from a restart encounter or checkpoint. But yeah, just remember, each time you do that, you are losing a second compared to not restarting encounter or something. Now this one, it's weird we start off with one that's optional that I don't even do. And I forgot to mention, there's even one more thing. You can check... Oh, voice crack. Wow, I'm so invested in this. You can check the time that you have. We don't use the load file to... time our runs. We use the speedrun mode timer that's usually on the top right part of the screen. But what we do sometimes is we check when this number changes. So this is the file for the run that we're currently doing. So it's at 2 minutes and 19 seconds. The reason I'm showing you this is because when that number changes, that lets you know a checkpoint has been hit. Because when you're not entering an encounter or leaving an encounter, it can be difficult to know exactly when that checkpoint is hit. So watch this. 2 minutes and 19 seconds.
Catch yourself up, all right?
2 minutes and 19 seconds. 2 minutes and 19 seconds. We can check again. Nope. What about there? Right there. Look at that. The number changed. 2 minutes and 41 seconds. So that means right there a checkpoint has been hit. Now, not every time that happens and you restart encounter, you get a benefit from it. Sometimes it places you further back. But we know the ones where you get a benefit from it. Now, this one specifically, if we were to restart checkpoint...
They're gonna close all the checkpoints.
You can move without having to heal. However, it's good for a very light speedrun. On grounded, you don't get the health back. So even myself, I do not use that restart encounter there. But, or checkpoint. It's called restart checkpoint when it's just one. So even though it's faster by like 3 or 4 seconds or so, I don't use it because you end up taking a lot of damage in slums and cargo, and it's usually a death sentence. Okay, you just got to trust me on that. So, yeah, that one specifically there. It's pretty much like as soon as the prompt shows up, and again, you can check the load times at your leisurely to check the exact time when the checkpoints hit. But it's usually when you can start healing. That's when you can do the checkpoint. On grounded, I do not recommend doing that one and just do it normally. On very light, definitely worth it. Definitely. But, yeah. I wish I could speed this up a little bit, but there's actually another one coming up.
Hey, Tess, you see that shit?
Another way you can determine when a checkpoint has been hit
I just used it. No patrols.
is when
Gonna pay Robert.
this right here goes from 1 minute to less than 1 minute.
Is it?
You too?
That should be the case here.
Marlene?
There should be about a minute that passes.
Marlene.
That's also how you know a checkpoint has been hit.
You think she'd tell me?
Well, what did you tell her?
The truth. I got no idea where he's hiding.
Good man.
You know, it's just up
Hey,
ahead.
you stay out of trouble.
Now, this
right?
upcoming
Military's
restart
gonna be out first.
checkpoint, what it does is it places Tess and Joel a lot further ahead. So even though you lose the 1 second in the restart checkpoint, you're gaining more than 1 second by doing this.
What do you make of that?
I don't like it. We better find him before the Fireflies do.
Okay, conveniently, it's not, well, this checkpoint isn't based on where Tess is, it's based on where Joel is. There aren't any checkpoints in this game where it's based on, or I think there's one. That's in sewers. But pretty much all of the checkpoints in this game are based on where you are, not on where your companions are. So right here, you see restart checkpoint 1 minute. If we just walk a little bit further, we usually pause buffer over and over and over and over. Look for the change. Right there. See that? It went from 1 minute to less than 1 minute. That means a checkpoint has been hit. And again, if you don't have that visual cue on the pause menu, that's when you would check the save file over and over and over to see the number change. But as you can see, this benefit right here,
Hey guys.
Tess is further into the room, and so are you.
Out there. How we looking over here?
And it starts their conversation a bit earlier. So, yeah. All right. We got the basics out of the way in the first 2 restart encounters. Let's pick this up a little bit.
Got it.
All right. This one definitely does not save that much time, but it technically is faster. Again, if you want the specific timing for it, just check the load file time over and over and over and over again until you see the number change. But usually the cue for me here is
Must be thinking of someone else.
once he hops on the ladder like that, restart checkpoint, places him right at the top. Definitely faster. Yeah, definitely faster. All right, next one is a little bit before slums.
Shut it.
Now, for me, it's when Tess turns on the flashlight, just a little bit after she turns on the flashlight. Right about there. Restart checkpoint, it places her a lot closer to the door, which she will knock on to make the area proceed. Yeah, a little bit faster.
Fuck this.
Take cover.
Nice. All right, next is
Ready?
Yeah.
right here.
I'll cover you. Get the angle on them.
So we're going to kill, get him to beg. Now this is the first example we're gonna see, and then we kick him to kill him. So this is an encounter. Notice it's checkpoint and encounter. Now if we just pause over and over, it's gonna transition from 2 to 1, just like that. That's how you know a checkpoint has been hit. We do that. And as you can see, 1 second wasted on the restart checkpoint, but it makes it so we hit this next door. Or it makes it so we're a lot closer to this wall that we go over. And yeah.
Let's spread out and make sure no one's
All right,
creeping around.
in the next part of Slums,
Damn it! Over here! Got you now, asshole!
we take these guys out. Now this checkpoint, it places you in the room so you don't have to like enter through the doorway. But the timing for this checkpoint, it's one of those times it's like an arbitrary time. You can't tell based on here. I use an audio cue for it. It's when you hear the door get unlocked. That's when the checkpoint is hit. But we can also use the load file to check. So 251. That should be good. 309. See, the time changed. And restart checkpoint. And it places you here, so you don't have to go through the entire doorway. I'm going to try and do this one properly, because the next one is just a little bit further ahead. It's basically when the next area ends. So...
Over here! You're gonna pay for that!
Ignore the performance of that area. But you want this med kit before before the area is over. So I'm pause buffering, waiting for it to transition to 1. So we got the med kit, and I'm just waiting for it to. There it is. See, it went from 2 to 1. Checkpoint is hit. That places you right at the bottom, right in front of the chain. Now I know that pausing over and over is annoying, but that's how you can guarantee getting the fastest time leaving this area, because the timer's not going when it's paused. If I was doing a run right now, the timer's paused. So think of it like that. And yeah, this places you at the bottom. And when it comes to picking stuff up before a checkpoint is hit, make sure, it should be obvious, but make sure you pick something up before the checkpoint's hit. Like if I am in the middle of picking up that med kit, but the checkpoint is hit, if you restart encounter, you're at the bottom and you didn't have the med kit. So in this specific instance, if you have the med kit, if you don't pick up the med kit in time, just sprint to the bottom and open it there. So yeah, but that's it for here. All right, next one is right here after you finish running past the soldiers with Marlene. It's halfway up these stairs, kind of like the original. So if we look at the timer again, 2:39. Right. All right, right there should be good. 3:11. So right there. And what it does is it places Marlene right there. And then you hit triangle on the door for the skip cutscene. That's something I forgot to mention. Some of the restart encounters are exactly the same as the original game. Some are brand new specific to this. And because the timing methods are different, there are going to be a lot more in this game compared to the original, where a restart encounter in that game cost you probably 2.5 to 3 seconds because the timer was still going while the game was paused. So, yeah, but some of them are the same. That restart encounter right there that places Marlene a lot closer to you because she's the one that has to open this door. That's the exact same as the original. So, yeah, but next.
I see him.
All right, we're in the outside area running away from soldiers. This one's kind of small.
I hear him up ahead.
But the timing for this one is as soon as Joel's feet hit the floor. So you can even tell. 2:45. Oh, I guess it's earlier. Oh, I guess it's as soon as his feet leave. I thought it was as soon as his feet hits the floor. Turns out it's when his feet leaves the ground there. I didn't know that. That's why sometimes you want to check the load files if you're not sure. How about that? I just saved myself a second. Future gold. But anyway, you get there, midair, land right there, restart checkpoint, places you right in front of the door, right here. So, yeah, can't believe I actually learned something. All right, next. Right, this one probably saves the least amount of time. We're a little bit further in downtown. It's like right before that line right there. So 7 seconds. I'm using save files for these. 7 seconds. Right there, 27. And that places us right here, just a little bit past those things. It probably saves about a second, but it all adds up in the end. All right, there's a lot to get to in downtown here. All right, in the downtown building, what we're gonna do is climb up here. And before I jump off, I'm gonna do this every time now. 326. 326. 326. All right, it's after he lands. 333. All right, it changes. Now what this restart checkpoint is going to do is place Tess and Ellie right next to us. So they're right next to us. And they'll end up leaping over this thing as a result, saving you quite a bit of time if you just went for this first.
All right. Come on.
All right, now this one also doesn't save that much time. There's one right here as well. It should be as soon as Joel lands. Let's see, 334. 355, all right, just before he lands. Restart checkpoint, and
This is
their
crazy.
dialogue starts up right away. Sometimes you can be sitting here just waiting for Tess to say that line. Ah, this is crazy. So yeah, saves about a second. Like I said, it might not be much in certain spots, but it does add up. Just get used to that. All right, quick little downtown fight here. Get the stuff before the checkpoint, and now you hear the music, pause buffer, wait for it to transition from checkpoint and encounter to just checkpoint, and this one's gonna save a lot of time. Watch this. Places you all the way up here. Tess and Ellie are already here, and you're up here as well. It's kind of similar to the original, but yeah, this one saves a lot of time. All right, still in downtown. We're at this point right here where we walk through here, and then it'll be over there. See him? Shit, we're almost out. All right, Joel, you take point. I'll watch the rear. Ellie, no matter what, you stay right on his heels. As soon as you enter through this hole, it goes from checkpoint to both checkpoint and encounter. Like that. And when you do it, you can move right away. And then you perform this area like I perform it in my tutorial. I'm not going to show it here, but yeah, this one saves quite a bit of time. All right, when you're finished with that area and you leave here, this one necessarily doesn't save time, but what it does is get Tess and Ellie out of your way when you're pushing the crate here. We never actually timed if this is faster. Can I climb, please? Thank you. So the timing for it is 7:59. Should be right there. Yeah, 8:08. All right. So it's right there. What this does is it places you
Where we going, Tess?
a bit further ahead. And you lose your sprint anyway when you get here, so. It does two things. One, it places you a little bit further, and two, it's more likely that Tess and Ellie will not be in your way when you're moving this thing. I said more likely, not impossible. Yeah. I highly recommend doing that one if you can. All right, we're at the museum fight. Now this restart encounter happens at the end of the fight. It happens when you're halfway out the window after all the enemies are dead, and it teleports you to the rooftop. So first you perform the fight. All right, they're dead. Now, just it going from checkpoint and encounter to just checkpoint, that's not the checkpoint. If I were to restart checkpoint now, it would place me just still inside, just a little bit further ahead. So what we want to do, 11:26. He's halfway out the window, 11:28. And if I were to restart checkpoint now,
There she is. That's our building.
all the way onto the rooftop. And that leads us nicely into our next restart encounter,
Gotta find a way across.
which is just like the original, actually. So this is a cutscene. You skip it, and then the earliest you can pause, restart checkpoint, and it places you right here. It skips them like noticing the Capitol building and just talking about it. So yeah. Right, now as for the actual Capitol itself, there's like a lot. So just like the previous one, this is a cutscene. The earliest you can pause it, restart checkpoint, and it skips Joel like sulking, looking at the door, and you can move him right away again. Now this restart checkpoint right here is the first example. So it's as soon as the subtitles pop up. As soon as the subtitles pop up on the bottom, that's my cue for the checkpoint. Although if I had done the pausing, maybe it's a little bit earlier, but I use the subtitles for the cue. This does nothing more than give Joel his sprint speed back, because right now he's just, oh my god. But if you restart checkpoint, he gets it all back. Now you lose a second there, but you gain it back with this.
Get away from him!
And now this is the strategy for Capitol. There's another one coming up right after this. So.
Pin him down! I got him! Cover the exit! They're heading to the rear exit!
Bit of a scary strat, but it works quite often. Okay. So this restart checkpoint, it does two things. One, places him a little bit further, but also gives him his sprint speed back again, like I was talking about. 1334. That's good, 1350. And as you can see, it places him right here.
What are we doing?
And you can move him right away
How are we
again.
gonna get out of here?
You don't have to wait for him to drop, and he has a sprint speed back, so a double positive with that one.
Stay down, I don't know how many more
And,
there are.
yeah. All right, in the subway now.
Did you spot him? No, place is empty.
And it's going to go from checkpoint to both checkpoint and encounter, just like that. And this one, again, does nothing more than... the enemies are a little closer to you, which you actually want, but also you get your sprint speed back. In, like, Capitol, like, leaving the Capitol and in the subway, the game takes away your full sprint speed and you're forced to do a tired sprint speed. This gets rid of it, so you can
Get him!
sprint at full speed and get out of here, and it lasts for quite a while. He gets tired here, but by that point you've used up all where you really need it. Highly recommend using it. The benefit of that restart checkpoint. Alright, we're further ahead in the subway. Now, you're on a bit of a time limit here. There's a checkpoint similar to the original when Ellie like drops the ladder. And you want to use that time to go over here and grab the 5 supplements. And you have a lot more time compared to the original to do this. So she's going to walk to our right. And then notice it says 1 minute. Just pause buffer. There it is. Less than 1 minute. There's the checkpoint. Places you all the way over here. You don't have to climb the ladder, and you get the 5 supplements out of it. Very, very, very beneficial restart checkpoint there. Great. Billstown. Just want to come over here. We can use the check in the load files for this one.
Watch your step. It's a good drop.
So this one gets Ellie closer to you. This one doesn't benefit you so much, but it gets Ellie closer to you, which is what you want. It triggers sprint speed in the next part. So 1859. It's about halfway down, like right there. 1908, yeah. I notice some textures change on the ground. That's my like visual cue to know to hit this checkpoint. And then you can't trigger sprint speed right here without Ellie present, so that's the main benefit of that restart checkpoint right there. So, yeah, highly recommend. All right, this one's right before Bill's Armory. It's basically as soon as the encounter is finished.
She's busy.
Yeah, sure. Busy.
So right here, you want to just pause buffer. From 2 to 1, restart checkpoint. Bill starts talking and everyone's near that gate. Beautiful strategy. Saves a lot of time.
Okay. Now he's talking to himself.
All right, in Bill's Armory, and it should come as no surprise, Bill is very, very slow. So what we do is a little bit through this doorway. When exactly? 33. 33, right about there should be good. 40, yep, right there. You restart checkpoint, and Bill is in front of you. And he's the one who has to open the window over there. So placing him in front of you,
Nice place.
compared to just going up here without him, he doesn't even run if you don't restart checkpoint. So it's very beneficial that you do this one. All right, we are in Graveyard now. And this checkpoint is going to be after I've killed this last enemy. And the triangle prompt pops up on this gate. Right there. That's the checkpoint. Now what this does, as you can see,
I got a key for that gate.
Bill's right there and goes right for the gate. Now, if for whatever reason you're like over here and you hit that checkpoint, it won't take and you'll have to redo this entire area. So you want to make sure you are like beyond the halfway point. If you do the strat I just did, you'll be perfectly fine.
Easy, easy.
All right, that leads us into the next area.
You weren't kidding about this place.
This one doesn't work on permadeath because you can't restart encounter in permadeath, but this strategy is very convenient. So, right there, there's actually a checkpoint. If you are alerted, this checkpoint doesn't exist. But if you were never alerted, you restart checkpoint, it places you right at the doggy door. But that runner hurt us, but we were already past the gate. There's the moment where they're like, I see you, but the alert doesn't actually happen for like a second afterwards. So, as far as the game is concerned, at this very moment in time, we are still in the stealth phase. So if you restart checkpoint,
What about this?
everything's quiet, and it places you right there in front of the doggy door. That way there's no confusion with like, you need to let go of sprint and hold it back down. Just sprint through the gate. You can use the load file times to know exactly when to change. And it places you right here. It's super convenient. Now, make sure in this area you don't hit restart encounter. Because if you do, it places you all the way back here. Make sure when you're like...
You weren't kidding about this place, were you?
When you're restarting encounter for your own benefit, and there's both the encounter and the checkpoint, almost always choose checkpoint. Because otherwise, it'll place you much further back. And I'll redo this one just to show you. And right there. That's all it takes. And again, this checkpoint right here would not exist if we were in the alert phase. So, yeah, keep that in mind. Checkpoint, and as far as the game is concerned, very shh. All right, we're in the high school. This one is optional, Normally, I like to go for the door at the end of the hallway before the gym without a restart encounter. However, if something happens where you end the fight over here, let's say, this will get you to the door faster. But typically, I don't like to use that because, you know, there's the whole 1 second, and also the shotgun has to be reloaded before you enter here for the strategy. And I'll just stay here for the sake of this next restart encounter. So these restart encounters right here exist in the original, but not for Grounded. But they're here even on Grounded for the remake. It's basically as soon as the last enemy is killed, you restart encounter and it gets rid of all their dialogue. Like, geez, what was up with that big guy? Oh shit. Not good. Well, we're not playing for speed here. Alright, ignore the gameplay right now.
Stay away from it.
Anyway, you kill one, and then you kill them all. When it goes from 2 to 1, restart checkpoint, skips all their dialogue, and it places you right here.
Let's go, people.
This one saves a lot of time. Ignore my performance there. And then there's one right after this as well. So as soon as this one's killed, and I mean as soon as this one's killed, it goes from checkpoint and encounter to just checkpoint. Literally, the moment you fire at this one, the third one, and kill it, you hit the checkpoint, and you go right to Bill. And yeah, that's it for here. All right, here at the truck push, this checkpoint happens when the clicker spawns in, not when it goes from checkpoint to encounter to from 1 to 2 or 2 to 1. It's when Joel sprints, but not exactly when Joel sprints, but when the clicker in the back spawns in. It's a little bit after he can sprint. So right there, a clicker pops in out of thin air, and restart checkpoint, not encounter, and it'll place you right here in front of the truck. But what this also does is it gets Bill to start pushing the truck a lot earlier compared if you didn't do that. So yeah, very small one. Again, it's not as soon as Joel is able to sprint, it's as soon as the clicker spawns in, which is usually like half a second or 3/4 of a second after you notice he's starting to sprint. So the reason I know that is because I lost a run to that one time. They're like, oh, he's sprinting, restart checkpoint. Nope, place me back in the house. So yeah, just be careful with this one. But it does save you time.
Motherfucker!
All right, here's one where
Catch your breath.
you get a benefit of easier enemy patterns.
Watch out!
So
Stay down.
notice how it goes from 1 to 2, right there. That's your cue to restart checkpoint. But watch what the difference is. So if I try and shoot the guy on the left first, he's already behind cover. What this does is it places all the enemies a few steps back. It makes the area just a lot easier to perform, at least for me. Get him. I'm supposed to get him as well. And then get him. And then you just perform the area. There's no other restart checkpoint there. But I like to do the restart checkpoint at the beginning of this fight because it just makes... Basically, the fastest time you can perform this area without a restart checkpoint is not as fast as how fast you can perform this area with a restart checkpoint, plus the 1 second you lose with just restarting checkpoint. So, yeah, makes the area just a little bit easier. All right. We're a little bit past the truck crash now. After you're done collecting everything you need in here, that looked weird. You want to hit this door. Now, it's not as soon as you hit triangle, but a little bit after it, I think. We can check the load times. 1939. Yeah, I notice it's when the textures on the door changes a little bit, so that should be good. Nope, a little further. There we go. His flashlight turned off. So there's the time change. Restart checkpoint. And this skips Joel, like, opening the door slowly and just, like, being,
Here's the bridge. That's our way out of here.
like, blinded by the light, the sunlight.
Ellie, slow down. Wait for me.
It's like me when I finally go outside.
Right here.
Saves a lot of
You
time.
let me go first.
All right, that leads into the next one. Now, this restart encounter is, frame skip there.
Oh, good.
This one is going to regain Joel's sprint speed, because this strategy will not work without Joel's sprint speed. So the moment the encounter begins, we're looking for 1 to 2, right about there. Now, whichever one you want. Basically, always pick checkpoint just in case. But you go from here. Now, this strategy would not work if he was tired sprinting.
Did you learn to shoot?
So yeah, that restart checkpoint gets back his sprint
We'll
speed.
get there.
Strange.
The bow. As for this one, this one's also when it goes from checkpoint to both checkpoint and encounter, which is right about there. Now what this does, it skips him pushing the gate all the way further and then just standing there for a few seconds. So you checkpoint, 1 second wasted on the checkpoint, but then you can move right away. I think you're also placed a little bit further right. Like when you begin this encounter, normally you're like right here,
Part of that? I heard about that.
but it places you right here. So there's a double benefit to it. And the area can be performed pretty normally. So yeah. All right, we're a little bit further ahead in Financial District now, after the fight, but before the tripwire part.
Well, at least they finally killed that couple. I was sure they made it out of the city.
Now this restart checkpoint we're going to do, it's going to give Joel his sprint speed back, which, well, you'll see right here. So it'll be when we go from 1 to 2, right about there. Yep. So you restart checkpoint, he gets his sprint speed back. Now you want your sprint speed here because that'll make these enemies over here start moving a little bit earlier. And there's also one at the end of this fight.
Fuck.
Ellie, cover me!
Yeah.
One more guy left. All right, that's the last enemy. Now watch this one. When it transitions from 2 to 1, eventually, there we go, places you all the way back over here, which is where you need to go anyway. So, I don't really need to say it. Big time save right there. Very, very big time save.
There you go.
And I guess I'll keep going from here as well. There's another restart checkpoint just a little bit further ahead. Now this one, what it's going to do is once again give back Joel's sprints. This one is like a double positive. It gives Joel his sprint speed back, but it also moves the enemies a few steps back compared to where they normally are.
Through the alley.
So from 1 to 2, right there. Encounter's begun. It places Joel a lot further ahead, moves the enemies a little bit further back in a more favorable position, and gives him his sprint speed back. So it places you right here. You got your sprint speed back, and you're able to do this strategy.
7.
I didn't take damage. That was just from the smoke bomb.
Move it!
And yeah, that. So Very, very, very beneficial one right there. All right, we're at Henry's now, and we're going to do a restart checkpoint at the beginning of this encounter right here. Now what this is going to do is it's going to move, I believe it moves the enemies that are there a little bit further ahead, which is what we want. So when it goes from 1 to 2, right there. Well, first of all, let me show off like the strategy and why this wouldn't work.
Ellie, you watch our back.
What'd you find?
All right, so I guess it can work, but yeah, I still wouldn't recommend it. Sometimes that first enemy is just like a lot further back. Yeah, this allows this strat to be possible. Consistently.
We did it.
I suppose at the end of the day, that one is kind of optional.
Dead asshole.
This one, however, is not. So as soon as Henry starts talking again... Get over here, come on. He'll turn around and then he'll say, through this door.
Through this.
The moment the subtitles pop up, restart checkpoint.
You sure he's safe?
Henry goes for the door earlier, and Ellie and Sam are also right here.
Get that.
So, yeah. I actually didn't realize that first area would work without a restart checkpoint, but I still recommend that you do that one. Trust me on it. And yeah, that one obviously saves a lot of time, so yeah. All right, this one is just before the searchlight. It's basically as soon as the encounter begins. And it's usually when Henry's flashlight goes out. So, right there, see that? Restart checkpoint, and it places me and Henry further into the room with these enemies already spawned in, giving you some more favorable enemy positions. Yeah. Alright, right before sewers now, on the beach. This checkpoint is just like the original. You do it right there, it'll send you all the way up there. So as for the timing of it, we'll use the load files. So less than 1 second. Less than 1 second, should be as soon as he stands up. 24, yep, right there, all right. And it places them all the way up here.
Same time.
Come on. Let's do it.
I like that one. That one's always been one of my favorites.
Come on, let's go.
That would save you time with a normal timer and with in-game time. All right, this one's unique. This one, there's some back-to-back right here. This one's unique to the remake. This one's not in the original. Let's look at the time real quick. 26 seconds. It's when his head goes past this next part. Maybe right there? 50, yeah, right there. And what this does, this actually places you a lot further ahead. Watch this. Places you at the end of the pipe. That saves you a good 8 or 9 seconds, so that one's really, really good. Great, and that brings us to our next one, which is... it's the same logic as the original. You cross an invisible line on the ground. We'll use, right, minute 1. Minute 1 should be right there. Yeah, minute 15, all right. So there's a checkpoint right there. What this does is, this one's not so much for you, it's more for Henry and Sam. It places them right there. So by the time you pull the pipe out of this thingy here, Henry's right there, ready to spin the wheel.
Alright.
So again, that one's not really based on where you are, it's based more on where Henry is. If you were to just go for the pipe right away, he'd have to walk a long way to get to that wheel. So, yeah, good time save.
It's a soundtrack.
A what?
Okay.
Sort of alarm.
can't hear anything.
We are now pretty deep into the sewers.
Don't look like
There's a checkpoint for the moment you hit triangle on this door. So, triangle, the encounter begins. The very moment you hit triangle, pause, restart checkpoint. What this checkpoint does, well, it avoids opening the door and going through it. It's kind of like a double positive. It places you a lot further, and it places the enemies a bit further back, so you can get some collaterals with the shotgun. Kind of looks a little bit like this. Alright, ignore that. Notice the shotgun injured the one behind it. You wouldn't normally be able to do that. Here, I can just try that again. Joel took a dramatic swing and he couldn't move afterwards. What a difference, right? What a difference. Yeah, you can't line them up. That's how it was supposed to go. You can't line them up like that if you were to just do that area normally. So like I said, that restart checkpoint, if you don't play as badly as I did the first time, gives you a double benefit.
So,
Places you further and aligns the enemies in that way,
Yeah, it's like every time.
which when it works is very, very pretty strategy.
Sam,
The reason that didn't work is because when he swings left-handed, he needs to like showboat the swing and just acknowledge it. If he swung right-handed, you can move him right away, but if he swings left-handed, you can't move him for like 2 seconds after he connects. It's annoying. Why am I telling you all this? Because there's another checkpoint right here. It's as soon as the encounter begins. Right about there. See that? From 1 to 2. Now this, what this does is it like turns you around, and it also gives you some relatively consistent enemy patterns here. And you're out. Now, I haven't played around with this area enough to know if you can do that strategy without doing the restart checkpoint. If I had to guess, I'd say that there's a chance, but I know when you restart checkpoint, not only does it already have him turned around facing the right way, but you're guaranteed more consistent enemy patterns. That's the main benefit of this one. So, yeah. All right, a little bit further ahead in sewers. What this checkpoint is going to do, this one doesn't do much. I think it places Henry, Ellie, and Sam a little bit further, but it also allows me to pick up this pipe quickly. I need a full pipe for this next encounter. And, yeah. Now, this is the one instance where the checkpoint is actually based on where your companions are. So my cue for it is when Ellie's feet crosses this line right here. So we can confirm that theory. 612, right there, 633. So there's the checkpoint. And again, what it does, sometimes this pipe is really difficult to pick up. So what I do here is I restart checkpoint. Your allies are a little bit further ahead and you're able to pick up the pipe because you're standing right on it. So, yeah, that's like a double positive right there. And yeah.
okay.
All right, sniper. Now there's this one's kind of optional. Ooh. All right, this one's optional. Normally you can keep going, but there's this weird checkpoint where like as soon as you get in front of this wall, 119, so a little closer. There we go, 127. Restart encounter will take you back to the beginning. So you want to restart checkpoint. And it places you right here. And it gives you back your sprint speed, which is the main benefit, because we were sprinting the whole way. By the time we leap over this, he'll be tired. So, yeah. And again, don't restart encounter, restart checkpoint. And I also noticed it gives you a little bit more consistent enemy patterns. That's not the real benefit of it, though. It's mainly getting your sprint speed back. All right, we finished killing the enemies like over here. But now you have these enemies to deal with. This one's a very weird strategy. It's not one that necessarily has to be done, but it makes what you do after this a lot easier. Now, the visual cue for this checkpoint is noticing the change on the texture of the tires. Just look very, very carefully. Boom. The texture on the tires just changed. That's your cue that a checkpoint was hit. Now, as you can see, the truck is still right there. It might be a little bit further ahead, but that's not the main benefit. It basically allows you to end this area as early as possible in the easiest way possible. So I kill that guy comes over there, I kill him, and then I kill him, Henry and Ellie kill him, and the area proceeds. It can get unruly. You can lose control of this area if you don't do that checkpoint because the enemies were already spawned in before. So I highly recommend you do it that way.
What do you mean?
You and Tommy.
All right.
You're not
We are
together,
now
so
on our
it's
way
like-
to the dam.
We just had a bit of a dis-
This one's a lot like the one when you first enter downtown. Invisible line on the ground where it'll just place you a little bit further. If you forget about this one, it's perfectly fine, but it does save time.
one way.
All right, 30. Somewhere on this rock. 30, 30, 46. There we go, right there. And it literally places you just a tiny, tiny bit further ahead. And that's really the only benefit there. Like I said, if you forget this one, yeah, it's okay. All right. A little bit further ahead at the dam. This one's a very cool restart checkpoint. It triggers the moment Joel starts talking after Ellie climbs up, and just look at the benefit this gives you. So as soon as the subtitles pop up, that's the checkpoint. Right there. Your bridge is already turned, and Ellie's, I think, turns a little bit faster compared if you didn't do the checkpoint. But yeah, I don't even need to say it.
Teamwork.
Big time save.
Don't leave me hanging.
Yes, I'm going to leave you hanging. Big time save. Again, it's as soon as the subtitles pop up. All right, so now we're in Tommy's dam. This one's kind of interesting. It's where Tommy shows us the picture. What you want to do is restart checkpoint right after you hit triangle. Not when triangle pops up, but as soon as you hit triangle. At least I think that's what it
Most of that
is.
stuff is long gone. Most of it.
I'm just going to check real quick. 432. All right, I hit triangle. Yeah, there we go. Now what this does is this actually leads into a cutscene immediately. So what this does is it skips you know, it looks pretty faded, but it's still pretty good. I'm good. It skips all of that. So this restart checkpoint leading into the cutscene saves like, how much? Probably good like 5 seconds or so. So definitely worth it. Hit triangle immediately on the optional prompt. Restart encounter right away. That should lead you into the cutscene where the timer isn't counting. So, yeah, it's a good one. All right, now we're in the middle of the dam fight. And what's going to happen? We're going to do a strategy that was similar to the original, but there's going to be an extra checkpoint that we do. So we throw, and when they all die, oh my, this game, whatever. They're dead, the door closed, now just pause buffer, there we go. The encounter is over because the game's just like, all right, they're all dead. So restart checkpoint, and Tommy is placed in front of you. And then you do the rest of the area, like we'll show off in the tutorial. This game. That Molotov can sometimes kill all of them right away. and other times like there's still a guy trying to make his way through the door and then dies from the flames that are there. It's whatever. As long as the door closes, just pause buffer, and Tommy is a lot further ahead. All right, so we just finished with the rest of the damn fight. Pick up everything you need, blah, 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 blah.
That was too damn close.
All right, so this right here is a cutscene. You want to skip this. Now, as soon as you're able to pause, the earliest you can possibly pause, restart checkpoint, and you can start moving on the horses right away. It's kind of the same as the original. Yeah, this saves a lot of time because you're skipping the, I just saw her riding on out of here. Go back inside and help the others clean up. You're skipping all of that. So, yeah, as soon as you can pause after the cutscene skip, do that restart checkpoint. Saves a lot of time, as you can see. All right, now we're gonna look at the restart checkpoints before and after the ranch fight here. So what these do is it makes this fight go a little bit smoother. Tommy's able to help you a little bit, and yeah, overall it's just a little bit more favorable enemy AI. You can do this without the restart checkpoint, but I find it to be a little bit easier, basically.
I got your back.
And it starts
How many you see?
right after Tommy says, "How many do you see?" Just pause over and over and over. Right about there. There we go. And there's one after the fight as well.
Cover me. I'm moving up.
If I can perform it properly. This is one of the harder fights in the game. All right, there we go. Now, when it transitions from 2 to 1, like we've been doing the rest of this video, just keep pausing over and over. Wait for it, wait for it, wait for it. There we go. I know it's annoying, but trust me, for the fastest time, it's worth it. That makes, what this does is it makes the dialogue, that's all of them.
Come on.
Come on.
Back to the horses.
Back to the horses. If you don't do this restart checkpoint, it takes a while for the horses to like hop back over the thing there. So yeah, I highly recommend the checkpoints before and after. Will make the fight a little easier when you perform it, and the fight is over a little bit earlier as well. Afterwards. All right, now as soon as the subtitles pop up, there's 2 restart checkpoints right here that are very, very good. 149. Right there. Pretty much like when the music pops up and Joel's like, tracks keep going this way. Restart checkpoint, it places
Go
you
this way.
quite a ways ahead.
Get to her.
Now there's one where you pass a tree right here. So look for the timing, 235. 235, that should be far enough. Nope, right there. 246, that's why sometimes you want to check the load files. 246, and this one places you quite a ways ahead. So those 2 restart
Look, by the
checkpoints
ranch.
combined, they save a
That's our
lot of
horse.
time.
She's got to be there.
Now,
looks
I
clear.
guess I'll just go through here. Are there any checkpoints here? Let me think real quick. There are, but this one's better shown off in a video. Here, let me show it. So this is when you're finished with the ranch fight and entering university. So you hit triangle. Cutscene starts. Now there's a restart encounter you do after the timer starts up again, where it would otherwise normally just be Joel and Ellie talking about football entering the university. You know that one. But it's not as soon as the timer starts up again, or as like the earliest you can pause. what's weird is it's actually like 3/4 of a second later after the timer starts up again. This one is very, very weird. It's not a whole second. It's not half a second. It's somewhere in between. So like, watch what I do. I just, yeah, little loading screen. So 04.5. All right, how long is this going to take? Right. So right about there. I wait about that long. You can go a little bit faster. You might even be able to check the load times as well, but again, if you wait half a second, that's not long enough. It'll just put you right back to where they're talking about football and stuff. Yeah. But yeah. Again, that one is quite weird. That's why I wanted to show that one there in the video form, because I don't have the timer up right now. And yeah, that's it for here.
Whoa, 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 whoa. What is it?
All right. At university, we're at the runners surrounding the generator part. This one, really all it does is put the enemies in a spot where you know they'll be. And it also places you a little bit further, but it mainly has more to do with consistent enemy patterns.
Yes, I don't want him running off.
As you can see, it's not going to place us much further, but if you pause buffer right about there, that has nothing to do with Joel's positioning, it's just elapsed time. So restart checkpoint, it puts you at the stairs, so it does place you a bit further, but it also is going to place the enemies in the same spot every time. So you can do this wonderful strategy. It can look cleaner than that, but that's been one of my favorite strategies. It just, if that were to kill one extra runner, that would have looked a lot cleaner. All right, I'm not editing this video because there's one coming up. There's a bunch coming up right here, actually. All right, this checkpoint is as soon as the gate starts going up. We can use the timer to check. 127.
I would have wanted to be an astronaut.
All right, right there. I just heard it go up, so there it is. Time change. The moment you hear the gate move, restart checkpoint, and it's similar to the original. You're on the horse and the gate's
What about
already
you?
up.
What'd you want to be?
Which leads us right into our next
When I was
one.
a kid, I used to want to be,
So in the remake, when you vault over the next thing,
Shut up.
no,
it
serious.
forces you to like freeze in place and notice the monkeys.
Fine, I won't laugh.
I don't think so.
But if you do a restart encounter, 149, 209. All right, time change. If you do a restart checkpoint, you can move the horse
Aw,
right away.
monkeys?
Yeah, a whole mess of them.
And you don't have to just sit there for literally like 4 or 5 seconds doing nothing. Because that's what the game forces you to do there.
Hey, look. Fireflies.
All right, and this one will take a tiny bit to get to. But there's one coming up right here. This is the part where you sneak past the bloater and the bunch of clickers. If you just do this normally, it shows Joel dropping into the area, and you have to... it just takes a while before you can start moving him again. Versus this, if you approach this from like the right side, I notice the area counts as an encounter a little bit sooner. So just watch it when it goes from 1 to 2. Right there, see that? The game is ready to just send him down. But this restart checkpoint will place it right here so you can move him right away. And then you can perform this area. Like so. And then you just mash square, and this would work, by the way. But yeah, cuts out a lot of like the camera panning around, and you can't move Joel for a long time when he like hops in there because the game's like, hey look, clickers, look, clickers. Okay, go. Here, you can just move them right away. Saves a lot of time, as you can see.
Scooch.
Right now, we're outside after sneaking past those infected.
You think they were fireflies?
There's one more right here. All it does is place you
Why would they
quite a
have
ways
infected so
ahead.
close to the lab?
This is one of those, though, you're crossing like an invisible line, so you don't know where it is. So even in my runs, I check the load file. 444.
Used him as a
Should be a little bit further ahead.
formative.
Right about here? Yeah. Somewhere in this area. When the number changes, restart checkpoint. Places you a lot closer to where the science lab is. And, yeah. Like I said, just places you a little bit further. Alright, now we got the science lab fight. Throughout the science lab, there are no restart encounters that we need to do. But there is one. There is one, and it pretty much has to do with the beginning of the fight. It has to do with getting Joel's sprint speed back, as well as just maintaining that the enemies are going to do the same thing every time. So once we get past this table, right about there. See how it goes from 1 to 2? Do the restart checkpoint. Places Joel a little bit further, but it has more to do with getting his sprint speed back. Because as you can see right here,
Stay up, come on!
Joel loses all of his sprint speed right here. And if you lost it any time before, you would get lit up in that hallway. So, yeah, very important you maintain your sprint speed through that door, and that restart checkpoint allows you to do that. All right, I just shot the deer second time. Now these upcoming restart checkpoints are going to do nothing more than give Ellie her sprint speed back. That's literally all they're going to do. These don't even save that much time, but I've timed it, and they do save time. So, look at the time, 42. 42, a little bit further, 52, there we go. So restart checkpoint, and she's got her sprint speed back. The difference between this speed right here and Ellie's out of breath speed is same thing with Joel. It's pretty big. And there's another one right here. 53. That'll do it. Minute 6. This one's definitely faster.
Oh,
Got the sprint speed all the way to the deer.
Everything's cool. This place is not creepy at all.
And then you're good. Again, you're probably not going to want to skip those restart checkpoints because the tired sprint, not only is it noticeably slower, but it's not fun to listen to. Yeah, do the game and yourself a favor. Do those 2 restart checkpoints. All right, so I'm doing the coal mine fight, and once the last enemy is killed, you want to do a checkpoint, and that makes it so you can leave a lot sooner. Ugly fight is ugly. All right, watch this. So, as you can see, we got checkpoint and encounter, and when this runner dies, the moment he dies, the encounter is finished, and instead of just waiting around for David to say, screw it, we're getting out of this room, just restart checkpoint,
We're getting out of this room.
and he does it right away.
All right, kid.
Definitely worth it. And it's literally like the microsecond the bullet or arrow or your knife hits that runner. So, yeah, you're going to want to take advantage of that one.
I need to go around.
All right, this is right after Callus dies, as you can see. Now, this one does 2 things. One, it resets some enemy patterns in the next area, and it regains your sprint speed. So, and this is one of those, don't hit encounter, hit checkpoint, otherwise it'll place you back next to Callus. But let's look at the times. 148. 148 should be just when you make it past the door, so that should be far enough. 203. All right, there's the time change. Restart checkpoint. It gives you back your sprint speed. And it I've noticed makes this area a little bit more consistent. This is a difficult area to perform on its own.
He doesn't get to make that call.
Where'd they go?
James told
But,
me it's a call from the university. How many of our
Oh, I didn't change the bow reticle. I don't think I have to.
guys were killed?
Whatever, I don't have to be showing this off. I just want to. Just kind of wanted to show off. That's typically the RNG that I get right there. And you make your way out of here. Looks scary. Not saying you won't get hit once or twice, but
Oh, shit.
yeah, first try. Now, you're able to do that without the restart checkpoint, but I don't know. I don't know what it is. I feel a little safer when I use the restart checkpoint, and it also gives you your sprint speed back. So, more of a guarantee the enemies are going to do the same thing, and the sprint speed, like we've been doing this entire video. All right, now we're heading into the lodge. This first one I think is more optional, but I like to do it anyway because I think you can sprint earlier. All right, so she leaps and look for when it changes from checkpoint to both checkpoint and encounter. All right, so she's still in the air. You restart checkpoint and she's on the ground ready to move. So I also think she can sprint a little bit earlier. So there's one benefit of that. Oh, that wasn't supposed to happen. Ignore that. There's one inside the lodge that we need to look at.
Man. Hey, you see that? You see that? Holy shit, you see that? What is
Right there. Okay. Now for this area, all the enemies have to be killed, even the ones outside, for you to open the door that leads to David choking you out. But there's a very weird checkpoint in here. It's at the very bottom of the stairs. And that will despawn the enemies by the window, and you only have the two enemies in here to deal with. So it looks a little bit like this.
On this side of the
See that guy? She's on this side of the lodge. Normally he would have to die. But if you hit the bottom of these steps, 408, 413. All right, there's the change. Restart checkpoint, not encounter. You don't have to deal with them, and you only have to deal with these guys. And wait for the encounter to be over. Right there. See that? That technically counts as a kill. And then
I don't want to get trapped.
you go for the door. Now, you wouldn't be able to just kill those two and then restart checkpoint and go for the door right here. That's why that first restart checkpoint is very important. And, yeah, I know. This is probably one of the weirder ones in the game, but very beneficial if you ask me. All right, we're running through the town as Ellie. There's only one restart checkpoint you gotta do here.
She's gone.
She's over here. On the side of the fence.
It's not here, it's coming up here. Now, a restart encounter will send you all the way back to where you move the thing to enter the town. So you want to do a checkpoint. Now, this checkpoint right here is going to make the alert go away. This next area is very difficult if you're alerted, but if you're not alerted, it's still difficult, but it's doable. All right, 716. It should be when you get right about here down this alleyway. Yeah, right about there should be good. All right, there's the change. And then instead of doing this area in an alert phase, you do it, and they don't know where you are.
Have a real situation
So.
here. We already have a situation. Over here.
I'm not saying this is going to work, but the strategy is yeah, you clench a lot of your body parts when you're doing that strategy. But imagine if they knew where you were the entire time. Like even before you entered the building. So yeah, that checkpoint is very, very important. All right, now we're finished with the David fight. If I can do this area properly, there is a checkpoint at the other end of this little tunnel, and it makes it so the enemies despawn behind you and the enemies in front of you don't know you're there. Looking good. Come on, pal, I see you. All right, pretty good. Now let's pretend I left one of these guys alive. If I were to continue past here, the enemies would know that, and they would attack me very early. But you gotta trust me on this. Even if there was an enemy alive back there, once you make it, 940, once you make it to about this part right here should be far enough. 1020, all right, right there. Restart checkpoint. Actually, it doesn't matter which one, but restart checkpoint. The enemies behind you would despawn, and these enemies wouldn't know where you are, so it's a double positive.
Hey, there. I saw something.
And then you just go. You can just ignore those enemies. But yeah, that is a very, very important checkpoint. Again, I'm gonna repeat myself, but if there's an enemy alive behind you, and you don't do that restart checkpoint, those 3 enemies would be aggressive the moment you entered their area. So that checkpoint, not only does it despawn the enemies behind you, it disables the alert phase for the enemies in front of you. And you're able to do that checkpoint even with enemies alive behind you. So do it no matter what. Just try your hardest to get there. It's a very difficult strat, but a low-key, like, one of the most beneficial restart checkpoints in the entire run. All right, home stretch, bus depot. There's a neat little restart checkpoint right here. It's just over this fence here. All right, 48 seconds. It's as he's falling, so right about there should be good. Minute 17, there's the time change. Restart checkpoint, and it places you quite a bit further. That one will probably save you 1.5 to 2 seconds right there.
Maybe we cut through here, huh?
And yeah, that one's small, but it's bigger than the one heading to the dam and the one when you first entered downtown. I like that one. Hey, look, a giraffe. Anyway, moving on. There's a restart checkpoint right here. The timing for this one can be a little bit strange. You're walking through a slightly open door. If you're unsure, again, use the load files. 342, 342, that should be good. 351, right there. It skips Joel opening this door, which takes quite a while. It's kind of like the one at the beginning of Pittsburgh when the sun's shining on his eyes. And, yeah, this one saves more than a few seconds. So, definitely do it. All right, we're almost done. Heading into the tunnel. This one's very interesting.
What do you mean?
They're gonna be
So there is one thing that where it, like,
I'm sure of it.
it goes from checkpoint to both checkpoint and encounter. But we don't want that one. What we want to do is sort of trigger an alert. Like when Joel's feet fall off this truck right here, the encounter's going to begin, but if you were to restart checkpoint, it would still place you right here. So what you want to do is make sure you have a bullet in your gun. Fall off, fire a bullet, restart checkpoint, and it places you a lot further. We went from there to here. And then, even though this isn't part of the video, you basically just do that. To get the stealth started. So even though you're closer to them, you can still move pretty quick. Yeah, that one's big. And you should have some excess ammo in one of your right holster guns for that strat. Again, that doesn't work as well if you... That doesn't work at all if you don't fire the gun there on the other side of the truck. So, yeah. All right. We're through, sneaking past all the bloaters, clickers, and runners. And this one's going to do nothing more than teleport Ellie closer to us so we can hit triangle on that gate over there. Now the timing for this is basically, for the checkpoint, is basically when the ladder starts to free fall. So 7:38. So right there? Yeah, right about there. When the ladder starts to like really drop. Gets Ellie up here, which means we can hit triangle on the gate a little bit sooner. You also move Joel sooner, so that's another positive. And yeah. Great. A little bit further ahead.
There it is.
We're in this room. Gotta go in the water. Ignore Ellie. Alright, when you make it through that little doorway right there, there's another checkpoint that places you quite a ways further. It gets you out of the water sooner. You'll see. So 9:14. That should be good. 9:39 right there. You're out of the water, and you do your climbing. That one saves quite a bit of time, as you can see. And then you continue onward. Alright, we're almost done. This is the same restart checkpoint as in the original.
Okay.
As soon as you can move Joel here,
Catch me?
I got you.
and we can confirm this via the load files, 1310.
See? You didn't even need me.
Let's get the hell off this thing.
Yeah, the moment you can move him, checkpoint, places him further, and he can jog. Before, he could only walk, I believe. So, double positive. Places him further, and he can run. All right, we made it to hospital. Now, there's a few restart checkpoints in the hospital, but the first one we're going to do is right at the beginning. And the reason for that is, from what we know right now, the fastest strat you can do is only possible when you do it from a restart checkpoint. It doesn't really work first try. So wait for it to transition to checkpoint and encounter. Do the checkpoint. And let's see if I can do this.
Down this way. Stay alert.
Craft the Molotov. That was literally perfect. That strat isn't possible when you do it the first try, from what we've played around with. I have no idea why. So, yeah. Restart checkpoint to make that strat happen. There's also one other thing. If you were to do this on your first try without doing a restart checkpoint, that would result in an alert. So if you don't do a checkpoint restart there, you'd have to do this and then go. But obviously, if you just do a restart checkpoint here, you can just go. So really, it doesn't lose you time. No matter what strat you do here later, the fact that you don't have to crouch there once when you restart checkpoint doesn't really lose you any time overall. So, yeah. I know that's kind of weird, but that's how it works. All right. Nice and easy strat. Okay, so we're past all the fireflies. Now the next area, Joel needs his sprint speed. As you can see, we're using a lot of it up right here. So this checkpoint right here, it's as soon as you hit triangle on the door. So 101, triangle, 108. All right. The very microsecond you hit triangle, you restart checkpoint. That places you on the other side of the door, and Joel has all of his sprint speed back. Now, being on the other side of the door is good enough, but you want his sprint speed back because otherwise he would be tired sprinting here. And if he was tired sprinting, he would either get alerted or almost noticed right there. And that just kind of messes this area up a little bit. So, yeah, you want his full sprint speed there. And it's also convenient that the checkpoint is just faster in general. So, win-win. Almost done. Almost done. And hello, you have made it to the end of the video. Congratulations. Fun fact, this took me about 3.5 hours to make. Okay, anyway, one more restart encounter. And you'll see how, you'll see it's faster just based on where it places Joel. All right, 46 seconds. It's when Ellie climbs to the top, 111. That's about the earliest you can hit that checkpoint right there. And you can see you can move Ellie, and Joel is all the way down there. And then he starts running right away. Because you lose control of Ellie when you climb that thing and don't do anything.
Just a little bit further now.
Yeah. And my friends, that is every single beneficial restart encounter or restart checkpoint that we know of in The Last of Us Remake. It can be used for any difficulty. And, yes, please use this video so my work doesn't go to waste. This was exhausting. Alright, if you have any questions, put them in the comments. I'll be happy to answer. Alright, see you guys. Bye.